In this video or series of videos, you're going to see how I've put together a Swift 16 snowplow made out of a solid block of cast resin plastic and a Playmobil locomotive in order to make a self-propelled snowplow, which after a little fiddling about eventually is about in the right position and makes a very unusual looking vehicle, but it's a specific vehicle for a specific purpose, and one might consider that a small or private railway wanted a snowplow in order to keep operating through the winter, and therefore took one of their older diesel locomotives and adapted that to have a snowplow on the front of it, being a locomotive that they wouldn't be using for other duties. So it's not a demountable device. I guess you could imagine it being demountable. I've said that. You could imagine it being demountable from this locomotive, but it isn't in model form. It is just a permanently attached gadget. So there we go. I hope the video is interesting. Certainly it would be of interest to anybody wanting to see a way of attaching the Swift 16 snowplow to a locomotive. And I've chosen the Playmobil for a couple of reasons. One being it's relatively low cost. So this is £25. These are about £80. You can get the sets still with these in for £120. That's the locomotive and the set, but it does come as a battery operated device, remote control, so it has that advantage, and so it's a low cost motor block with something. I know I can get motor blocks for about £50, but you then have to build a cab and bonnet onto it, and this comes with the cab and bonnet and with the remote control as well. So that's why it's an advantage to using the Playmobil. So there we have it. If you can get the loco on its own, as I say, they usually sell for about 80 in new or new condition. 120 if you have to buy the complete layout or set, and then that's 25. So about £105 in my case if I considered the purchase of the locomotive and that. And I've got a motorised snowplow. However, it all depends on what you think about the look of the thing. You may feel it's a totally I'm recording this because I've amazed myself. This is the Swift 16 snowplow, which I thought was too heavy, and I wanted to add it to a possible chassis, which I'm going to show in another video. But what I thought I would do is take some of the weight out of it. Well, with a tenon saw, that's a wood tenon saw, because it holds a straighter cut, I've cut a couple of cuts down into it, and then with a drill increasing in size, I've drilled from each end. As you can see there, I just sort of drill square to the surface, and then once I've got a hole that's square to the surface, move the drill down, start off like that, then move it down and drill parallel to the slope of the snowplow. And I did that from both ends. I haven't marked this out at all. I cut down with a tenon saw freehand, and then I've opened up the hole and eventually used this size drill, which is both larger in diameter but also longer, so it would get through. And I thought, if I'm lucky, there may be a point at which those intersect, those two things intersect. Well, the reason I've done this is I've just cleared the swarf from the drill, and that's the hole. I just cannot believe that it's met up in the middle so well. Just can't believe it. The unfortunate thing is I don't think I've got a blade long enough to put down that hole to cut across to there, so that's going to be a bit tricky, but wow, There we are. So that's just by racket fee or racket fee, trying to line the drill up from the outside so that you're drilling along from each end, and it's managed to clear a hole through. So we have a hole through, and that might be a start of being able to remove some material. Right, here we have the lightened snow plough. It's rather lighter, but more than being lightened, it might now fit something. This is a Playmobil where I sawed it so the cab could be put further back just by turning that part around. And then you've got a long cab, you've got a long bonnet and a cab at the back on that item there. So what I'm looking at, and the other thing I did was I put some resistors in it to slow its speed down to a shunting engine speed. So what I'm going to be looking at is the possibility of really hacking this about a lot more to, yes, you see there's a joint come loose there, so it needs some help and support to provide a motorized chassis that I can build up again and put that on the front. If I didn't want to, well, that would give me a motorized chassis with remote control and sound and all the bits that come with a Playmobil. It's an advantage to that. You can pick up motorized chassis for about £45 plus postage from a UK source, and that's an alternative possibility. That would be track powered, to provide a track powered device, and I'd have to consider which the motorized chassis to get, because they do a range. Not all, the £45 is the cheapest one. As you can see, the process of removing these pieces of material has been rather, well, what you might say rather messy. That's an awful lot of that resin cut away. There may be a more elegant way of doing it than my hacking about with drill and saw and saws in order to get down to that. But that's where we've got to so far, and that is my thinking so far.